Yesterday game was horrendous, bro. I mean, it was bad. I mean, this one might be one for the ages, bro. I can't even lie. The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. I mean, they got their issue off in a major way, bro. I mean, there was countless of times I could literally look at the screen and know that was a...
What if I told you the real MVP of the WNBA isn't a player, it's a referee with a personal agenda and a whistle hotter than a jalapeno? Buckle up. We just found footage so wild it makes reality TV look tame. Caitlin Clark didn't just get fouled, she got robbed. And the receipts? Messier than a toddler on spaghetti night. It's all on camera. And you won't believe what this ref did. Let's get into it.
Well, lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall. It was a pretty grim overall.
And seeing how things are run, seeing how things are done. And after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out. It is what it is. You're going to be critical of players. If they do something shady or classless, you're going to call that out.
And the whistle blows again, not for a foul, not for a travel, but apparently for the crime of being Caitlin Clark. Because let's be real, this isn't basketball anymore. It's a badly written soap opera where the refs are playing cartoon villains. Between the missed calls, phantom fouls, and oops, didn't see that punch to the face, WNBA referees have gone from officials to full-on chaos gremlins with whistles.
To share with you guys an article that I found that honestly gives us so much insight into the WNBA referees, how they are hired, how much they make, and there's one section that really stood out to me, and they break down essentially why they are making the calls that they make, and they also talk about the influx of new fans flooding to the WNBA. They talk about Caitlin Clark a little bit. This article to me was really telling. It actually came out in January, but it was published by SB Nation, and it's entitled How WNBA Referees Are Scouted, Trained, and Held Accountable.
The audience isn't confused anymore, they're exhausted. This isn't suspense, it's sabotage in slow motion. Crooked referees aren't just ruining games, they're sucking the life out of a league that's supposed to be growing fans' tune and expecting competition, not some referee-led improv show. It's like watching a cooking contest where the judges unplug the oven mid-bake, then blame the chef. And Caitlin Clark, she's the chef smiling through the sabotage, while her 3-tier cake collapses into floor soup.
You would think, with what they say coming into the season, Kathy was made it her business to let them know that, referees is going to be getting assessed for this next season and make sure they're making the right, proper calls. Man, at this point, we need NBA refs all the time, bro. I don't want these YMCA, junior league, high school ass referees, bro. We need real life refs because as of right now, they're costing the Indiana Fever major games that they definitely need to.
Let's be real, Caitlin Clark looks tired. And not the just played 40 minutes and dropped 30 kinda tired. This is that deep, soul-crushing exhaustion, the kind you get when you realize you could drop 60 and still get called for a charge because you blinked too hard. She's carrying a franchise, a league, and half the women's basketball fandom on her back. And the refs, they're out here making sure her shoelaces are tied together every time she touches the...
Remember how last year started? You remember the lopsided officiating that we got last year? The All-Star break comes around, the Olympic break rolls around, and then what did we hear from Lynn Dunn? Lynn Dunn goes on the Dan Dockage show, and she calls out the officiating. She calls out the refereeing. She calls out the WNBA. The lopsidedness that is being shown, not in favor of the Indiana Fever. The clear biases when it comes to foul calls. The clear biases when it comes to not calling foul calls. Last year, it took us halfway.
Of course, she's depressed. Wouldn't you be? Imagine being world-class at your job, showing up every night to do the impossible, only to realize your biggest opponent isn't even wearing the other team's jersey. It's the refs, the so-called zebras with whistles, who somehow miss actual assaults but flag her for moving like a normal basketball player. It's like she's violating some secret no-star power rule. The way Caitlyn's being treated isn't just wrong, it's cartoonishly wrong. It's Caitlyn accidentally stepped into a universe where logic doesn't exist. Wrong. And Coach Stephanie White, she didn't just lose her cool, she donated it to science. She looked like she was auditioning for Whose Line Is It Anyway? But every prompt was, react to another insultingly bad call. She was pacing, yelling, and turning redder by the second like a human thermometer for injustice. At some point, the refs stopped even pretending to be fair. They were just out there freestyling rules, like it was Jez night at the officiating club.
A little bit holistically, I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history, or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs...
There's no other way to put it. Caitlin Clark is being treated like she committed a crime against basketball, when all she really did was make it popular again. The WNBA wanted visibility, congrats, now you've got it, but the referees are squinting into the spotlight like vampires caught in the sun, panicking under the pressure of actual attention. They weren't ready for fans. They weren't ready for replays. And they definitely weren't ready for people to start asking questions. Now every blown call turns into a meme in 5 seconds. Twitter's got slow-mo breakdowns of every flop, missed whistle, and logic-defying violation, and somehow, it just keeps escalating. Caitlyn drives on a fast break whistle. She makes a clean steal violation. She breathes too hard in the paint, technical foul. Meanwhile, the other team is out there filming a UFC promo and walking away with nothing but high fives. It's like the refs think the WNBA is some kind of choose-your-own-adventure book, where no matter what Caitlyn does, she ends up in detention. But this isn't just about bad officiating, it's psychological warfare. She's a rookie playing with the poise of a vet, carrying the pressure of a whole league, and still has a target on her back the size of Iowa.
Sharing that the officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls. Now, they also brought up Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. We actually made a whole video about that as well, because there were some suspect calls at the end of that game, and a lot of people felt like the WNBA Finals were actually...
Every time Caitlyn gets up, someone's there to knock her back down, sometimes literally. Meanwhile, Coach White's sideline meltdowns are becoming more iconic than the games themselves. She's basically the unofficial voice of reason. If reason came with red-faced yelling and clipboard-chucking rage, you can practically hear her inner monologue screaming, "Are you serious?" every 2 minutes. At this point, she protests so hard it's a miracle she hasn't been mic'd up and given her own post-game therapy show. And can you blame her? Watching your star player get hacked like an Amazon password, while the refs stand there like statues, would make anyone lose it. But instead of celebrating Caitlyn, we're stuck dissecting slow-mo footage of her getting blindsided, while the officials do their best impersonation of a potted plant. It's surreal. Like we've landed in some parody universe, where talent gets punished and mediocrity gets a standing ovation.
It took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, I've had enough. It's taken 4 games for Stephanie White to say, you know what? I've had absolute enough. Game 1, okay. Game 2, okay. Game 3, all right. But today was the last straw when it came for Stephanie White. The New York Liberty get to the free throw line 32 times. The Indiana Fever this season have a discrepancy minus 31 when it comes to free throws. That doesn't seem right.
Because that's exactly how it feels. Fans are noticing the boos are louder, the crowds are angrier, and the internet, it's foaming at the mouth with receipts. No one's buying the just part of the game excuse anymore. If anything, the game looks rigged, like it's being run by a group of interns on a caffeine bender who think consistency is optional. And if that sounds harsh, good. It should. Because this isn't just about Caitlyn, it's about what happens when real star power crashes into a system that isn't built to handle it. The referees are clinging to their power like it's the last slice of pizza, blowing calls with the confidence of people who've never had their decisions reviewed in HD by 5 million viewers. Caitlyn plays too well their solution. Make it harder for her if something doesn't change soon. This story isn't ending with cheers, it's ending with the crowd walking out, wondering why they ever believed in the script. And just when you think the officiating couldn't get worse, BM, they cranked the circus dial to 11. These refs weren't just bad, they were Olympic level bad. Like, did you borrow your rule book from a coloring book bad?
Reset happened. Why was JC Sheldon's foul upgraded to flagrant 1? In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant 1? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face. The three of them that is a flagrant 2. By definition, you've described a flagrant.
At one point, it honestly felt like the refs were pulling fouls out of a hat labeled random nonsense, all while ignoring everything happening to Caitlyn Clark and her teammates. Blatant contact, nothing. Clotheslining, just good hustle, a full-on WWE suplex in the paint. Apparently that's just excellent defense now. This isn't a conspiracy yet, but if a few more games look like this, we might need to start checking their earpieces. Because how else do you explain this pattern of willful blindness from people literally paid to watch things happen? It's like the refs made a blood pact to never see Caitlyn Clark get fouled, no matter how many times she gets pancaked on national TV. At this point, crash test dummies are getting more empathy. You start to wonder, is there a secret meeting happening behind closed doors at WNBA HQ, one of those dimly lit, smoke-filled rooms where executives in blazers huddle over PowerPoints titled How to Slow Down Caitlyn Clark Without Looking Too Obvious? And the referees just the loyal foot soldiers, carrying out the mission, sabotage disguised as officiating, because it's starting to feel like the league is allergic to momentum. Every time Caitlyn finds a rhythm, here come the refs with that oops, that looked like a good play, better ruin it energy.
NBA refs are the worst. They really are the worst.
We got to unpaint these narratives. They all have heart. All the mannerisms in basketball are the same. This is going to be the same. Doesn't matter your color, your race, or your religion. That means I shot in your face. This means I'm clapping, I'm excited. How do you make basketball mannerisms about race? Make it make sense. Sometimes we might even push the ref. I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm not a bad person.
Wait, hold up, wait. You be pushing refs, Angel?
I ain't never pushed them, but I've gotten in their face. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, you know.
Even when you watch the MNBA, I would pray for, and Scott Foster sucks, but I would pray for a Scott Foster in the WNBA. Some of these women's refs, I don't know if you feel this way, Angel, but they have.
Meanwhile, players on other teams are out here breakdancing on defense and somehow getting rewarded with free throws. It's a clown show, and everyone's in on the joke except the people actually trying to play basketball. And while all this madness unfolds, guess who's nowhere to be found? That's right, the mythical, silent figure known as the WNBA commissioner. You'd get a faster response from a Magic 8 ball than from her office. Players get hit, fans erupt, commentators rage, and she radios silence. You could scream into the void and get more feedback than from her weekly press activity. Try finding a public comment from her go-ahead. You've got a better chance of spotting Bigfoot in a referee jersey. The only thing consistent about her leadership is how consistently absent it is. Days go by. Scandals pile up. Missed calls dominate headlines. And she's apparently locked in a coma made of apathy and beige-colored emails. You'd think she was running the league from a treehouse with no Wi-Fi. Penalties, they take her longer than a sloth with a clipboard. Fines only after a week-long nap and a vision quest. She reacts to basketball crises the way a tortoise reacts to a house fire: slow, confused, and somehow walking in the opposite direction.
Before, and I will say it again, the WNBA as an organization is insufferable, and you would be hard-pressed to find another organization that is as committed to self-imploding as the WNBA.
There's no place in basketball for somebody to be poked in the eye, and then they're saying Caitlin Clark is flopping. In what world is she flopping? Oh, she flailed and she fell over. For crying out loud, that girl, JC Sheldon, should have been kicked out of the game. She should have received a flagrant 2. There's no reason why you need to poke somebody. Listen, I get it. She's playing her hard. She's guarding her. It's basketball. Aside from the viewership and the recordship and the media, it's just a basketball game. I totally get that. There's no place in basketball for like that. These WNBA refs need